So a lot of you have been asking this question: what is the right way to price channel letters? In this video, I'm going to go over the way that I've done it in the past with our company and see if that works for your shop. Check it out. Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Peter Karunas with ShopVox, and in this video I'm going to be going over in a minute about how to actually go about pricing channel letters inside of ShopVox and ShopVox Pro. A lot of you have your own methods. This is just our method for how we used to do it in our shop, because it actually makes sense when you actually think about the materials and how certain things can affect pricing. So you might choose to price your channel letters by upright inch, by the letter, by square foot, by linear foot. We chose to price our channel letters by the total circumference of your actual project. Is going to get down to the granular level of all your raw materials. So let's take a look at some of the raw materials that we would actually use for channel letters, right? We have our back. So some of you are using Dibond, some of you are using 060 aluminum, and that's fine. But when you break down the square footage cost of that sheet, you can break it down by square feet, and you can also break it down by square inch as well. The same thing for your acrylics and your plexiglasses. The same thing for your coils and your jewel light trim cappings. You can even get down to the square inches if you'd like for any type of vinyl coverings for your faces, and you can also get into a granular inch formula for the amount of LEDs that you're going to need as well. Some of you can understand that maybe it's going to be 3 modules per foot, and you can figure out how many feet if you're going to single stroke or double stroke your channel letters. There's a lot of things that go into building channel letters, and there's never one job that is similar to another, right? You're always going to have customers that want to do this type of work on a budget, and you're also going to have customers that will put budget aside and really focus on quality. So you're going to have many different ways to price out this particular project. Before we get into the live tutorial, I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood programming your own products is crucial, but it's a necessity to make sure that you do it one way that fits your shop's methods. If you feel that you can gather enough data inside your sales for the year and then populate based off of all of that data a square footage rate, then by all means you'll be close when it comes to your traditional raw goods cost of materials, and you'll be close with how long it'll take to produce that particular project in direct labor. If you take all your sales throughout the year and you average them together, you'll be able to get an average cost and an average cost per square foot that works for you in your shop. You'll also be able to get an average cost per upright inch that works for your shop. So this method may not work for your shop. However, it's just important that you get down to the very granular detail, because those details are where you're going to see the profits start coming into the project. All right, so we're going to begin and showing you a channel letter product that I will once again make available to you on the ShopVox market to download for your shop. You will, though, have to put in all the cost of materials that are correlated to that product so that your costs are reflective of your market and your territory of your business. All right, so let's go. All right, so here we are on ShopVox Pro, and we're on our very familiar page, and we're going to start building a quote for a customer. All right, so here we go. We're going to add a new product here, and we're going to just type in channel letters. Okay, I have a couple of products here for wholesale. I have a couple of products here for retail, so we'll just go with a retail for now. Okay, so first things first, we got a lot here to dissect. We got a lot here to look at. I think it's important to add images to your product catalog, because what I found is that when you hire an employee, whether it be a business development manager, a general manager, a graphic designer, not a lot of people actually know the term channel letters. This is actually something that can correlate to what actually front lit is versus backlit.
the more pictures that you put on your product catalog here, the easier it is for your employees to identify with the actual product. Oh, that's what a channel letter is. And, oh, okay, this is what frontlit means. We know that we have those customers out there that actually do confuse frontlit and backlit. They're not entirely sure which they want. We have to actually explain it to them and make sure that they have a direct understanding of the type of product that we're going to be mocking up, the type of product that we're going to be selling to them. All right, so let's take a look at some of the input selections here. We have a bunch of check boxes. We have a bunch of input bubbles, and we have a bunch of drop-down menus here to select from. All in all, remember what I wanted to do with our team when it came to training on product knowledge, right? We want each particular product that we're going to build in our product catalog to identify the questions that we want to ask our customers, right? We don't want to leave out anything. We want to ask the same questions for every customer pertaining to this particular product that we're going to offer them. So that's going to go down to, letter height and length, and if they want it to be vinyl faces or if they want it to be acrylic faces or plexi faces. Frontlit, backlit, front and backlit. Do they want the letters to be lit or be open faced? Raceway frames, whatever the case may be, you're going to ask all of these questions. All right. So let's begin here, right? So first and foremost, we have one quantity. This is what we're going to want. We want one set. If you wanted a customer that was going to buy two sets and they were equal size, this is where you would change the quantity. Is the sign going to have a raceway? If it is, our shop would price the raceways by a linear foot. So we had a certain rate for our raceway. So if we just entered in 10 feet here, it would calculate a square footage rate. So all of a sudden that went up to $282 for a 10-foot raceway. Terminology as well is very different from shop to shop. So what we called channel letter backers, some other shops might call a cloud backer. They may call it a cloud box. Whatever the case may be, a channel letter backer was a layered piece of dye bond behind the letter to try and give some dimension, some contrast to the actual letter and the color of the building that it's going on. So if we had something like that, and that was typically routed from dye bond, or if it were, maybe it was 1/8-inch aluminum, we would put a square footage rate to that as well. So again, if this was maybe more along the lines of 20 square feet, okay, you would see the price does not change, and that's because I have not made some other selections just yet, which we'll get to in a minute. Vinyl overlay needed. So if you have a particular color on this frontlit channel letter sign that does not meet the customer's color palette, you will need to break that down and add a color vinyl to your white plexiglass faces. So we might do the same thing here and do 20 square feet. Okay, and again, you'll notice no price has changed just yet. All right, so we're going to now get down to the letters. So let's just say we're going to make a sign for Avenue Pub. Okay, that's going to be the name of the sign. And Avenue Pub has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 letters. So we're going to say number of total letters. We're going to say 9 because they're all going to be capital letters. And we're going to make them 20-inch letters. Okay, again, nothing has changed in price right now. So we're just filling in the criteria. If there was a sub copy, maybe it was going to say Avenue Pub Gastro Bar, maybe. Maybe we'll add that. And you needed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Another 9 letters. We're going to add 9, and that height is going to be, we'll say 8-inch letters. Okay, so now we have 2 lines of text, and everything right here is built out. Now, we have some checkbox selections here, and this is what we're going to add. What type of product is this? I mentioned frontlit letters, so let's just use frontlit letters. We'll check this box here. Okay, and this is telling me at this moment what type of product I'm actually building. Okay, so we're gonna is it backlit? Is it front and backlit? Is it non-lit? Is a frame needed? That's terminology. Again, we didn't always put our channel letter signs on a raceway or flush mounted. We often did a framed aluminum sign, if you will, a commercial sign, and we would mount channel letters to. That was something that we did quite often. So we had a checkbox here if a frame was needed. If a frame was needed, you'll notice that the price changes a little bit more. Is this a rush job? Are we removing a sign from the current building? If you are, you might consider charging a discarding fee. You might charge not only a discarding fee, but also a scrapping fee. So you might want to take a look at that in your shop. Adding a permit, if you're going to add a permit, some of you actually add a sign permit on a secondary line item. That's quite all right. I would recommend doing that. But this is just a reminder, because if you click on it, it'll add the fee to this page. It'll add the fee to this particular product. I'll just leave that off for now. All right, so what color LEDs here are we getting? You'll notice here again, pictures, blue, green. These are great, wonderful pictures that I can show the CSR, I can show the business development manager exactly what kind of color we're working with here. But for the argument's sake, we're just gonna go with your traditional white LEDs. Now, return color. So in this particular product, we built a variance on your material. So you have variant different colors when it comes to channel letter coil. Obviously comes in many different colors from our vendor. So some of you might charge different prices for your traditional black or Duranonic coil to a gold, silver, or even a red coil. You might have different rates. So if you once you select on that, it opens up this edit material page. And this is where our shop got into a little bit of getting into the cost at a granular level. So we would take our cost of each of these coils. So let's just say we selected our gloss black coil. Our cost on this was 6 cents an inch. 6 cents an inch. And we would charge 9 cents an inch for this particular material. So what would you need to do? You need to enter in all of the quantity of the entire sign that you're going to do. Now listen, this is not 20 inches by 9 letters. And multiplying those two numbers together is not going to give us the right answer here. We priced our channel letters by circumference inch, total area of inches. So you'll notice many shops say this to you, many vendors say this to you. A traditional Arial bold font with the letter I is basically a 20-inch rectangle. However, a 20-inch times New Roman I in bold has a lot of serifs, and therefore more inches to the actual amount of coil that we're going to need. This is where we made sure that we weren't giving up some of our profits. We wanted to make sure that we had the total length of the design mapped out. So for this particular example, we're going to say that we have, on the word avenue and gastropub, we would have to go into our design program, whether we're using FlexiSign, Corel Draw, Adobe Illustrator. You have your macros, you have your tools there that should be able to give you when you select an object. And it has to be an object, it cannot be text. But when you select an object, there are ways for you to get the total area of inches, total circumference of inches. So in this particular example, I'm just going to put in 7,500 inches. There you go. That might be better. Yeah, that would have been a very small sign. So we're choosing to charge the customer $675 here worth of coil. So I'm going to hit add and save. And I'm going to do the same thing here for the Jewelite trim. Now, I have a selection for a 1-inch or 2-inch trim. If you're using bigger letters, maybe like 4 or 5 foot letters, you will need to use the 2-inch trim for Jewelite as opposed to the 1-inch. But in this case, 20-inch letters, we'll use the 1-inch here. And the same thing. We're going to just type in the same amount. We're going to do gloss black, and we're going to do 7,500 because most likely the inches match on the Jewelite trim. That also matches on the coil. So that's an easy calculation there and an easy assumption there. So 7,500 inches for the coil and 7,500 inches for Jewelite. Now we're going to get into some of the electrical components here, and I have built in this product with 3 types of power supplies at 3 different wattages. You might want to consider building one with 2 power supplies or whatever the case may be, and I'll show you how to make that change in a second. But in this case, for this sign, we're just going to use one 150 watt LED power supply. Okay, let's get into some of the shop fabrication here a little bit. So again, this is a variant labor rate now. This is not a variant material rate. This is a variant labor rate. And this is where you're able to get very detailed and granular with your shop labor rates. If you're manufacturing channel letters, you will have very different departments for this type of project. You'll have your vinyl department, your printing department, your fabrication department, your electrical department, your engraving, your routing department, your file setup department. Whatever the case may be, you're going to charge a different rate for each and every one of those fabrication types. And I found that, yes, you can always guess here how many total hours are going to go into this particular project to build 18 letters, 9 of which are at 20 inch, 9 of which are at 8 inch. We can assume maybe this will take a total of 30 hours. Sure, as you get better at this, you can make those assumptions. But for those of you that are starting out for the first time, doing this and getting a more accurate number is set up for you very nicely when you start breaking down the tasks independently. So, for example, we'll start with the file setup time. To set up your actual files for production, this may only take you maybe an hour and a half. Some of you can do it quicker. Some of you take a little bit longer to get the details right, but you can always adjust the quantity that you estimated and the quantity that it took you later on. So now we're going to start with the design time. Well, we started with this design, right? So we might want to charge the customer for that. And that took me, maybe about a half an hour to design this project. There we go. Okay. Now we're going to get it to the router. And here you'll notice that the rates of cost and price change for each and every one of these selections. So the routing time to route the entire project, we're going to have to route the backs, and we're going to have to route the faces. So let's say to do this project, it's going to take, with preparation, 2 hours. Okay. Now we got to run the channel letter bending machine, or this could be hand done. If you have a manufacturing facility that does this by hand, you can do this by hand. But for those of you that have a machine that's going to bend the returns for you, this is a fabrication type that can be made either way. This is going to take the longest time, so we're going to say for this particular project to bend the returns, we're going to make it 6 hours. Okay, now we're going to get into the assembly time, right? We're going to take those backs, take those returns, and we're going to assemble everything together. I'm going to look at this and say I might do 10 hours in total to assemble the 18 letters, to do the wiring perhaps. Whatever the case may be in your shop, you're going to have to figure out how you're making them in your shop that can calculate this time. So we're just going to say 10 hours here. Let's get into some electrical. So this is going to be putting those LEDs in the can, siliconing them down, wiring everything up. Maybe we'll do that maybe it'll take one guy a full day, so we'll put 8 hours to do that. All right, and here you have it. Okay. Oh, I'm missing one. We missed the big one. Jewel light time. Okay, we have to add the jewel light time, and that usually takes the longest as well. Maybe it's a whole half a day to jewel light the letters that are going to be, I guess, what did we say, 18 letters? Yeah, that should take about 6 hours to do. Okay, so there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. We kind of went into this particular labor rate with the assumption that it's going to be 30 hours, but it ended up totaling out to 34.5 hours is what I'm billing out for. So we have our total cost of direct labor at $774, and we're charging the customer $11.97. Now, again, you can make these multipliers yourself. You could figure out how exactly you want to mark up your labor. That is going to be on you. I'm not here to tell you what charges you should be charging your customer, what pricing you should be charging, but I am strongly advising you to come up with that price once you can break down to your granular costs of all your raw goods. Then you can figure out, well, hey, if this project really cost me $1,800, I want to make, maybe I want to make a 2.5 multiplier on that. Maybe I want to make a just double my money on it. Whatever the case may be, you're the one that's going to set your profit margin. Yes, continue here. And inside this particular product, I built in an installation rate. Now, you don't have to use this company. This was a company that I would outsource this to. And you could see that when you vend this out, you could say, okay, well, I think this job is going to need a bucket truck. It's going to need 2 installers. And this is my cost for two installers. And I think this sign is going to take us 5 hours to install. So I could add my installation rates right here with that drop down selection. The name Signtex Installations, that was just the name of the outsourced installation company that we used, but you can also just rename that to whatever you want and change the rates to your installation rates in your shop. And you could build the installation right here into the product. You don't have to add it as a second line item to your invoice. All right, so now the custom fields here, this is really the customer service questions that your CSRs and your business development managers should be asking your customers, right? So what is the verbiage sign going to say? Well, we already said that. It's going to say Avenue Pub, and then a second line, it's going to say Gastro Bar, right? Okay, the acrylic color, well, we said that's going to be white. The raceway color, great selection. We're going to have black, white, Duranonic, or we're going to match the paint color of the building. We often like to match the paint color of the building. The font style, this is going to be block font style here. And this is going to be a raceway mounted style channel letter sign. Does the installer have access to connect the power to the sign? This is a question that we often do not ask enough. When the installers make it on site, they're looking at a site and say, well, where's the electric? This is an electrical sign. There's no power run to the front of the building. What am I supposed to do? Well, if the customer acknowledged this on the survey, then you don't have anything to worry about. But if there is electrical access, we want to know about it, and we want to ask it at the sale as well. This way, there's actually some black and white reference to the fact that you did ask the question to the customer, and they did give you an answer. So we'll say, yes, there is electrical access. What type of wall is it? It's a let's say it's a brick wall. Do you need a sign permit? Yes, typically, but we'll leave that off. We'll leave that saying yes. It doesn't really adjust the price anyway. And are we removing a sign? We're going to say no. All right, so now we're going to hit save. And we're going to go into my favorite page. All of you know that the build of materials page is one of my favorite pages because it really shows you how and where everything is being charged. So everything that's in yellow here is your editable fields. Everything that has a price associated to it is what is associated to this project based off of the selections in the previous page. But when I built out this product for our team, I wanted to make sure that they looked into everything. So if we had selected that it were backlit channel letters, it would have added at least one box of aluminum 3-inch pins. Therefore, it would have had a price here. But because we selected frontlit letters, it did not select that. So there are certain products that are fixed to this formula when you make those drop box selections. All right, so I like to do a once over here and make sure I have the right quantity set up, because the system can only tell you so much, but you'll have to consult with your production managers to get quantities right for each particular selection. So we told them in our previous page that it's a 10-foot raceway. Okay, so we're going to charge $270 for that raceway. We don't need any aluminum pins, but we do need an electric outlet box with the switch. So it does tell me I selected one, and I'm charging $12.50 for something that cost our company $9. If I had selected that we needed aluminum frame, it would have taken the square footage that we would put in, and it would have times that by a total cost and a total price rate that would be fixed in the aluminum frame accessory item that we added in materials. We have the 7,500 inches of jewel light, which is correct. $360 is what we're charging. We have one 150-watt power supply, okay, for $75. We have the 7,500 inches of channel letter coil. And we have one package, one tray here of white LEDs. I don't think that's going to be enough. I think 50 is not enough. We're going to probably need 3 times that for this job, right? Maybe 150 LEDs. So we're going to write 3 units, and now that just went up to $126 is what we're charging the customer. We're charging them $42 for every 50 LEDs that are selected. In determinants, we're going to get to that in a moment. Okay. If it was a front and backlit letter, we would have used Lexan, pebbled Lexan, or 1/8 pebbled Lexan, and we would have charged a square footage rate for that. But because we only selected frontlit, it did not. It also would have done aluminum if we had 063 aluminum. That's what our shop would have used if it would have selected backlit. But because we selected frontlit, it did not. Now, we have to use the plexiglass 3/16 white here. So we're going to put in that we probably only need 1 sheet of 4x8 plexiglass for this job, right? We have 9 20-inch letters and 9 8-inch letters. So I think that there's enough room, and your designer and your production manager would be able to verify this for your shop, but you would want to put in how many square feet of plexiglass here you would need. So we're going to type in 32, that's a 4x8 sheet, and it's going to add $119.62 here to my material cost. We're going to also look at dye bond. That's what we use for our channel letter backs for front lit letters. So we're also going to use we're going to use 64 square feet here because we have a channel letter backer to it. So we are going to need 2 sheets of Durabond, one for the backs of the letters and 1 sheet to route out for the channel letter backer or cloud backer, however you want to put it in your shop. All right, we already did the variants for installation. We already did the variants for shop fabrication. But if we had done some sign removal and discardment, it would have charged $250. That's our flat rate for that. If we were going to rush this project, we would have charged a flat rate of $250 to rush this project. And there's also a sign permit fee as well if we were to get it, and we did. So we selected that and we put $500, but we didn't say yes, we needed it. Otherwise, it would have charged the $500 right here. So at the bottom here on the price breakdown tells you how much you're spending in materials. It's $1761.32. So let's take that number here and let's pull up our trusty calculator. We're going to put in $1761.32. Now let's talk about the indeterminates again. Let's go back up here, and I'll leave this one for last. This is the last line item here that we must put in a unit quantity for. For those of you that aren't sure what indeterminates are, these are the items that we simply cannot tell how much we use. We can't tell how many screws we use. We can't tell how many washers we use, wire nuts, ounces of silicone, spools of wire. I can go on and on. All these little intricate items that go into fabrication, spacers, wire through nuts, whatever you can think of. Yes, we'd be sitting here for a very long time adding each and every one of these very small items that really play a very big part to building this sign and building the sign correctly. What I've done with our shop is we've trained our employees to build out these particular items at a 7% cost of your total material cost on the job. So we'll take 1761 times 7%, and we'll get $123.29. So we're going to add here in the cost field $123.79. Okay, and I'm going to charge my customer $173.31. I'm still making a markup on all of those items. There is not one single item here in the materials cost field that I am not marking up. So that's just how our shop did it. That's just how we did it as a group, right? And we can see here on this particular job that with all things being equal, we are almost 53% profitable here. Our total cost on this job is $25.16, and we're charging the customer $38.31. This is just our pricing for our industry, for our territory. This is how we are able to stay competitive. You'll have to go into each and every one of these particular line items here in materials and in labor and adjust those markup percentages accordingly for your store. So there is a little bit of programming that's going to be required once you download this product in your shop. All right, so now let's go back up here and just X out of this. Okay, and we'll scroll down to this item here. And this is one of the coolest things I like most about ShopVox Pro is that you can actually tell the system what items you want to display for the item's description, for the customer's description on the invoice, right? So we want them to see what it's actually being spelled out, the selection that we made, the height of the letters, the amount of the letters, what materials we're using. And keep in mind when you're building out your materials, when you spell out these descriptions and these titles, this is how it's going to be displayed on your invoice. So make some time for yourself to pay attention to those finer details, because this is often how customers are going to perceive your shop. Like, how are you writing up this invoice? I don't know what this means. What is a 5.3 return? If you don't go into with the customer what a coil return is, they're not going to know. They don't know what a jewelite trim is. They don't know what color you're getting. So pay attention to those details and what you want to turn on for the descriptions on the invoice and what you want to leave off. I don't think that it's important for the customer to know how much indeterminates there are. I don't think that it's important for your customer to know the name of the company you're vending out the installation to. So be careful about how you're writing these particular items. At the end of the day, make the selections on those questions, all that you're asking the customer, very visible on your invoices so that it's in clear black and white what was discussed, what was asked, and what was agreed upon, because you're going to have to get your customer to approve this invoice, this estimate, whatever you're building out here. And once they sign their name on the dotted line, it's a binding contract between you and them. Once they give you that deposit and they sign off on the estimate and everything goes through with their permits, it's pretty much a done project, and you'll have this particular invoice and your disclosures to revert back to in the event that there are some discrepancies between you and your customer. I was always one that felt that our team needed to train our franchisees and our franchisees' employees that taking the time to accurately write out a disclosure that fits your business, taking the time to write out descriptions on materials, to write out descriptions on products was very important here, because the more detailed you get with your invoices, the more detailed that you get with your invoices that allow your customers to see the details and understand what goes into it, will eliminate those potential hurdles that you'll receive later on when there's a discrepancy over what they thought they were getting and what was actually delivered. Let's just hope that that never happens for you, but we know that it does, and there's no stopping that. We can't make everybody in this world happy. Everybody's got a different opinion on how projects should be designed, so everybody's going to look at things a little differently. Don't forget the phrase "beauty is in the eye of the beholder." I learned that from my ex-partner Brian Schwartz many moons ago, and it's something that I hold near and dear to me now, because what I like, somebody else may not, and the way I think a sign should be fabricated, somebody else may think that it's not, because they saw some other method with some other sign that they saw in their neighborhood. It's going to happen. Just be mindful of it, that if you put the details into the descriptions of your materials and your products, and they show up on your invoices right here front and center for the customer to approve when they sign off, you're doing everything that you can to protect yourself, to protect the company that you work for from having any potential lawsuits or collecting on your balances. All right, that's it for me. I hope that you like this product. I would like to know if you want me to build out any other products for you in your shops. I have so many more. I have awnings, I have light boxes that I want to go through. So let me know. Leave a comment below and let me know if this was helpful for you and what other particular products that you would like to see, whether it's a simple commercial sign frame or a light box or even an awning or an awning reskin. We have many products that we've developed here at ShopVox that I can show you, but do me a favor, let me know what you want to see. I'm curious what I can do to help you all. A lot of you have been giving me a lot of emails pertaining to channel letters. That's why we did this video. But keep those emails coming. Let me know other products that you'd like to see. A lot of you got a kick out of the vehicle wrap product that we did last week, which I think is a very good video for you to watch in case you're a shop that is doing vehicle wraps and color changing wraps. There's a video that we did on building out that product. But that's it for me, guys. All right, I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and stay positive out there. All right, everybody, have a great day. Thanks.